Hey guys, this is Average Joe's Fantasy Football. My name is Steve, and this is
your boy James.
And we are here for your Week 6 Start and Sit video. Before we begin, again, I'm going to do it. You guys did a great job getting to our 50 subscribe goal. Now we got to 100, so hit the subscribe button for us. Make sure.
Click that button.
Just do it. I appreciate all the love you guys have given us. If you like the video, of course, hit the like button as well. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll have that description down below for the handles. So that way you guys can get instant information as far as fantasy news, start questions, lineup questions, trade questions, all of that information for you guys. So before we begin our QB starts and sits, let's go over who was our stud and duds of the week. So our first one is stud of the week, Chase Claypool. So he did an amazing job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4 touchdowns, 3 reception as far as a touchdown goes, and 1 rushing touchdown. Kid was amazing. Put up 44 points last week. Again, came out of nowhere. He is that big play receiver that Big Ben has always loved. Now, the dud of the week, unfortunately, came from the Dallas Cowboys. Mari Cooper, unfortunately, had 4 points for fantasy in PPR. He had 2 receptions and 23 yards. Didn't actually see a ball really thrown his way until Andy Dalton came in. Yes, Andy Dalton came in. So, we all know it. So let's get to our QB starts of the week.
All right, guys. So my first guy is going to be it's going to be Gardner Minshew versus the Detroit Lions. Minshew has been averaging about 20 points per game. He's actually a decent quarterback, good quarterback to have on your team. He's only had 1 bad game, and that was versus the Beard. So the Beards versus the Stash. The Beards always win. So, Minshew's been having a great season. So, Minshew would be a great guy to start this week versus the Lions' terrible defense. Then I had Tom Brady as a sit last week, which was a good call. He didn't have a great game against the Bears. This week he's going against Green Bay. Green Bay's an average pass defense. I would look for Tom Brady to definitely bounce back this week. I give him about 3 touchdowns to his receivers this week. I would definitely put him in if you got him,
especially with Godwin possibly coming back. So
yeah, that'd be great. Mike Evans been touchdown every week. So Andy Dalton I have as my 3rd start of the week. It was unfortunate. I know I made that joke too soon. But Dak Prescott went down with an ankle injury. I'm a Giants fan. We lost that game, but it was very unfortunate. I was actually in shock also. I didn't want to see a guy like him and his caliber go down like that. But Andy Dalton came in, threw over 100 yards in the last quarter. He's got a lot of weapons. I definitely see them running the ball more, Zeke getting fed a lot more, but that's just going to open gaps out down in the field, and obviously you guys see CD doing a great job his rookie year. I definitely see Andy Dalton having a lot of weapons. They got a great tight end. They got 3 great wide receivers. I know their O-line is not so great, but retirement and I think 3 guys that are done for the season right now. So, but Andy Dalton still has a decent O-line with all those wide receivers and Zeke going back there. So I see him producing very well. He did decent last year. He's definitely a good backup to have. Then we're going to go into our sits for the week. We have Teddy Bridgewater. He's been having great success the last few weeks. But he's going against Chicago. Chicago's one of the best defenses in the league, pass defense and rushing defense. And it's just a very, very tough week for him this week. Even your great caliber, Tom Brady had a tough week. I don't see Teddy Bridgewater doing any better than that. He'll be a sit for me this week. Herbert would be a great pickup if you haven't picked him up already. Then, of course, Andy Dalton, which we just talked about. If you haven't seen our waiver wire video that we just posted on Tuesday, That would definitely be a good pickup. Pick up Andy Dalton. Herbert, if you haven't, if he's still available, you need to get him. He's averaging almost 30 points a game. But Teddy Bridgewater this week, have him sit. Pick up somebody else that you can afford to run. Cam Newton, if he's still available, I would pick him up also. He's available in a lot of leagues, which is crazy. Then Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
Heater.
I know I have him sit quite often in these videos, but I've been right. He's got 19 sacks, which is ridiculous. He's got 9 interception, which is ridiculous. And he's going against the Ravens. So their pass rush is great. Their blitz game is great. Their pass defense is not so hot, but when you're suffering from a bad O-line like the Eagles are, I would sit Wentz this week. Then we're gonna go with Burrow. Burrow had a horrible week last week, and now he's going against Indy this week. Indy's given up only or less than 200 yards per game to quarterbacks this season. It's just a bad week for him. And he got sacked 7 times last week and an interception. I don't see him doing any better. Hopefully he gets better than, I think he had -1 point in fantasy. And he's going to get more than that, guys. But he's definitely going to be a sit for this week. Now we're going to go to Steve's running backs, like wide receivers.
All right, guys, so we're going to go over the wide receiver starts. So the first guy I have is Julian Edelman. Right now they're going to play the Denver Broncos. Expected to have Cam Newton back this week, as long as obviously his tests are still negative. He's been quarantined enough because he didn't really have any symptoms or anything like that. So his 10 days should be over. He will be back against Denver Broncos. So Julian Edelman is a great pickup. If he's available, great start this week. He's had about 21 points against most teams that are in the bottom tier as far as defenses go. So he's done a really good job at that. Denver is the 28th against the pass, so look for Edelman to really have an amazing game. Like I said, having Cam Newton back definitely helps him out. Next guy I have is Calvin Ridley. Yes, the same guy who probably lost your fantasy last week. Calvin Ridley is going to have a turnaround game. He's going against Minnesota. Let's be honest, everyone has a turnaround game against Minnesota's pass defense. And I think with, yes, Matt Ryan's kind of struggled, but Calvin Ridley's still their guy. Julio is expected to come back. We're not really sure. There's still a lot of up in the air with him, but Calvin Ridley is still the guy. He's averaging 8 targets a game. Feel confident about him. Yes, that was a bad game, but it's not something he would obviously happen every single time. So, and he had 21 points against Carolina, let's be real honest. So, he's a good receiver. Trust in him. He's a great start. Last guy I want to talk about in the starts is going to be Jamison Crowder. This guy has just been amazing since he's come back from his injury for his 2 games. 26 points in PPR last week. He's going against Miami this week, and Miami, let's be honest, is not great. They're 24th against the pass. And Jamison's been averaging about 7 targets, really a game. And if you hadn't heard, we broke the news on Twitter. Le'Veon Bell has been released by the Jets. So really there's a lot less weapons currently right now for Sam Darnold or really Flacco, whoever they decide to throw back there to throw. So Jamison Crowder is their really only staple. He's going to be targeted heavily and a lot. So make sure you have him in your starting lineup. Now we're going to talk about our sits for the week of receiver. So the first guy I want to talk about is T.Y. Hilton. I apologize, T.Y. Hilton. I'm sorry. You're one of my favorite receivers in the league, but unfortunately you just need to be done. You and Phil Rivers just don't have they just don't have the chemistry, and they have really struggled. Really, in general, that whole offense has just really struggled. They're going against Cincinnati, who's not a great defense, but Cincinnati is actually pretty good. They're 13th best against the pass, so not really the best, but they've done a great job at shutting down most receivers. T.Y. is only getting about 6 targets a game right now, and most of those only turning into 4 catches or so. Not really solid, so I would not start him this week unless you absolutely have to fill in for a flex for a bye week or something. Next guy is Juju Smith-Schuster. I know that's crazy to say for being a good receiver with a good really wide receiver core in general with those three guys and Big Ben back there. But Juju's kind of struggled. And going against Cleveland right now, I know that sounds crazy, but Cleveland hasn't been the best against the pass, but you get Denzel Ward who's going to be covering him, and he's done a really good job shutting down the number one receiver. Juju's only also received about 5 targets a game. And if you saw last week, Chase Claypool has really kind of been the one that getting the targets, especially the deep throws. So Juju is more of kind of the inline slot play right now, and I just don't trust him this week against Cleveland. Last guy I want to talk about is our dud of the week, Amari Cooper. I know that's crazy because he is a stud receiver. He is the number one receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, but the past 2 weeks really has kind of gone to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb in the slot, it's just been killing everybody. And I expect Andy Dalton to throw towards Amari Cooper, but when you're going against a pretty good defense in Arizona, they're the third best against the pass. You're going to have Patrick Peterson against them. I just don't trust him this week yet. I just give it some time, but Amari Cooper is somebody I would sit this week. Now we're going to go to the start and sits for running backs.
All right, guys. So for running back starts, if you want to see these playoffs, I would put in Madison at Atlanta this week. Atlanta's defense is just horrendous. Pass, rush, all of the above, and that defense. I don't understand how they're going to replace that defense and Matt Ryan next season. So. Madison has a great matchup. Put him in there if you got him. You're one of the lucky ones that picked him up, at midnight. Yeah. Or in our league. But if you got to go in the waiver wire and you're one of the bottoms, lucky you. But definitely put him in this week. All right, guys. Now next we're gonna go with Montgomery versus Carolina. Carolina's defense, rush defense, is actually very, very poor. They're second worst in rush defense. They gave up 121 yards last week and a touchdown to Gurley. Look for Montgomery to, especially if you got PPR, definitely start him. Look for him to get a few catches. I would say at least three to 5 catches and a decent amount of rushing yards this week. Then we're going to go with James Robinson. He's been a hot hand. He didn't have a great week last week, but versus Detroit, which is one of the worst defenses, rushing defenses. They've allowed an average of 30 points per game to offenses, and having a bye week last week, they've given up 681 rushing yards so far this year. That's pretty bad. So definitely start Robinson if you have him. Then we're going to go with sits of the week. Singletary. It's having a bad game. And, last week. And you got Moss coming back. So I would sit him versus Kansas City. Kansas City's in the middle of the pack for rush defense. But with Moss back, or coming back, hopefully he's coming back, and taking away those carries, I wouldn't start Singletary unless you don't have any other options. Hopefully you're one of the few that picked up Gibson. He's a great start. Then you got Kenyon Drake.
This guy just needs to go away.
Yeah,
just put Edmonds in.
Yeah, put Edmonds in there. The lucky few that got Edmonds on the bench, stashing him, or maybe put him in the lineup and got 20-something points this week. But Kenyon Drake, they got a decent matchup versus Dallas, horrible defense, but they're in the middle of the pack. I'm a Giants fan, so I had to say something. But Dallas defense isn't great, but they're in the middle of the pack, and Kenyon Drake has been doing anything. Kenyon Drake, if he didn't have this touchdown last week, he would have single-digit points. So, Drake is a flex player at best. I wouldn't rank him at a RB1 or RB2. Borderline RB3, if anything.
Be flexing on that bench. That's what he'd be doing.
Then we got Melvin Gordon. I know some of you would be saying, why? I'll tell you why. Lindsey's coming back this week. and he's going to be taking away those carries. Probably not all the carries, but he will be taking out. I definitely believe he'll be taking goal line carries. And then, Melvin Gordon hasn't been producing much all year. I mean, he had a great game last week, but versus Patriots also. Patriots is one of the best defenses in the league, passing and rushing. And versus the rush, I believe they're like third best, fourth best. So I would definitely bench Gordon if you have him. Flex him if you need to. Look for different options out there for running backs if you have it, or if you have some bench players. If you have any questions about who you should start over Gordon or any of our sits, please comment in YouTube, comment on Twitter, comment on IG. We definitely answer pretty quickly, especially this guy. But you ask us questions. We get over 50 to 100 questions a week, but don't hesitate to ask. We answer pretty quickly. Now we're gonna go do tight ends with that guy.
So that guy has said this week TJ Hawkinson is a great start. So he's going against Jacksonville this week, who happens to be the 9th worst against the tight end. And TJ Hawkinson has been having about 10 points a game in PPR, which is pretty good for a tight end. Not amazing, but again, pretty good. Against Jacksonville, he'll have obviously a better output there. I expect him probably be in the 15-point range. And again, I think with the weapons that they have, there's not a lot there. Matt Stafford's going to be passing a lot. Obviously, Jaguars going to be passing a lot. I think this is going to be kind of more of a shootout than, I would say, more of a lower point game based off of both defenses. So TJ Hawkins is a great start. Next guy I want to talk about is Evan Ingram. For the just please get some points, Evan Ingram. Like, this guy's got so much talent. Yes, we sit him a lot, but I think this week I just have this feeling this is the week he's going to turn himself around. He had 9 points against Dallas Cowboys, which really should have been his turnaround game, but they just weren't throwing to his way. Daniel Jones was actually having a pretty tough game that week. So I would say Evan Ingram against Washington football team, who is 26th against the tight end. They're not great at stopping the tight end. This is the week that they really need to rely on Evan Ingram. There's not a lot of receiving core right now for the New York Giants. So, again, I think he's a great output. I expect at least 12 to 15 points. If not, just get rid of this guy.
No, I wouldn't get rid of Ingram.
Next guy I have is Eric Ebron for the Steelers. So, obviously, he's new to the team. He's slowly developing his relationship with Big Ben. Last week, he had just under 9 points in PPR. But he's going against Cleveland, who is 27th against the tight end. Another great matchup for him. I do expect him to kind of get some red zone targets when they get near there. And he's been getting about 6 targets a game the last 3 games. So he's done a great job of at least getting some targets his way, especially with the weapons that they have at the receiving core. So he is another great pickup. I actually ended up picking him up with waivers, and he's probably in most leagues available if you need to flex a tight end or something like that. So I would say Eric Ebron is a great pickup this week.
I don't know why they don't use him in the red zone more often. He has such great matchups. He's so fast.
He was phenomenal with the Indianapolis Colts. I just don't think they quite use him quite yet. I just think it's building blocks there. So next I have for our sits this week is Hayden Hurst for the Atlanta Falcons. He has just not turned his game into what everyone thought he was. And let's be honest, the Falcons' offense has just been horrendous. There's a lot of firepower there, but with Julio being out, it's really affected that team in general. Right now, they've been relying on Todd Gurley, who's looked really good, but Matt Ryan has been playing poorly. Again, he's somebody just absolutely should be cut on most teams, but Hayden Hurst has just not done a great job. And he is yet to have a game. He's had one game really above 10 points, but the rest of them are really single digits, so I would not trust him this week against Minnesota, even though that matchup looks enticing. Next I have is the Wonder Boy from Green Bay, okay? Robert Tonyan, yes, he's been amazing. Devontae Adams is back, which is going to take away a lot from him. So that's going to be obviously Aaron Rodgers' go-to. And I just don't think the matchup really works out for him. He's going against Tampa Bay, who's 10th best against the tight end, who's done a really good job. They've got some really athletic linebackers in Devin White and Levante David. So Tonyan is not somebody I would really expect to have the game that he has had. Again, if you have him on your team, that's great. He was a great waiver wire pick. He is some good flex tight end position, but I would not trust him this week against Tampa. Last guy I have is Zach Ertz. I have a personal vendetta against this guy. He has been ruining me all season so far. He just has been horrible. So Zach Ertz, again, not a great matchup with Baltimore. He has not had more than 10 yards in the last 2 games, which is crazy. And let's be honest, Baltimore's defense is just, they're crazy. They rush against the, Carson's going to be on his back. I feel bad for the guy, but they're just not a great game for Zach Ertz right now. So I just do not trust him. Sit him. Just trade him, whatever you need to do.
It's so unfortunate that Zach Ertz is doing. I don't know. It's the communication of the. Wentz and him did great. Look, I've won that championship with him. I've won that championship with him. So, that's unfortunate. But
yeah,
Zach Ertz, man.
Yeah, he's just not a great matchup this week. So, I appreciate you guys watching this video for your Week 6 start and sits. I love all the love you guys have been giving us. Make sure you're hitting those like buttons for us on YouTube. Again, hit the subscribe button. It's down there. Make sure you hit it. Help us get to that 100 subscriber goal at the end of this week. So again, I love what you guys have done sharing our content. So you guys given us great feedback. Like James said, make sure you comment down below if you have any questions for lineup or waiver or even trade questions. Or just in general, if you have some great feedback for maybe some starts and sits that you guys think would be great this week. Again, share that amongst the fantasy football community. Also, again, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we answer everything almost instantly for you guys. We'll give you up-to-date news, like the Le'Veon Bell or injuries that are happening in the moment, so you guys stay up to date and know who you should pick up instantly. And again, I appreciate everything done for our channel and this community for us. So
yep. I appreciate it, guys. And like he said, there's times where we're posting injury updates or trades and all of this faster than the experts. So definitely check us out on Twitter. That's where we post most of them. Like, comment, subscribe. We really need everyone's help. We give great advice. We've won. We're in Diamond and Platinum tier in Yahoo Fantasy. We're one of the top tier players, and we definitely want to grow this channel to help you guys out. So please subscribe, like, and comment. We're here to help.
All right, guys. Well, have a good one.